My name is Barb Anderson, and I teach at Dubuque Senior High School in Dubuque, Iowa. This is my 20th year of teaching. I have been teaching French for the last 17 years, and currently I'm teaching levels 2, 3, and 4. This project is something that I've called the Tour de France, and it's a little bit of a play on words. It's something that I discovered when I went to a Connected Classroom conference, and I went to a session that was called Web Quests. And web quests are a way of having a problem and trying to have a learning activity from it. And so what I'm doing is I'm having my students follow the bicycle route of the Tour de France, and they are touring France. By doing that, they need to find out about the history of those cities, about tourist information, if they were going to actually do a tour. My goals in doing this project started off by having the students explore France, and I really wanted them to learn more about the geography, to let them know that it's possible to travel around in France, to really appreciate the size of France relative to the United States. You know, most of them have not had the opportunity and will not have the opportunity to travel over there, but this gives them a little bit of closer peek at it. As I started doing the project, I realized that many of the students, and especially these students that are seniors, had not had any previous or very little technology experience. And so it ended up that another one of my goals became that my students, when they finished, would have a knowledge of computers and would be able to take that on to college, because most of these are college-bound students. In the project design, I have assessment rubrics for the brochure that they developed, for the PowerPoint presentation that they developed, for their oral presentation of that PowerPoint. Also, they were assessed on their group work and on the bibliography of information. It was very important to me that even though this is a group project, each individual is assigned specific things. So it's really an individual project within a group project. The presentation is a group presentation, but the project is more an individual project in that way. We used several of the Microsoft Office software products. We used Word in order to do our brochure because that's what we have. I know that there are other things out there, but that's what we have on our computers. So we used that, and I was able to adapt it in order to use Word. We used, of course, the PowerPoint. Again, that's what we have on our computers, and that's what we use for the presentation. I taught the students how to use a scanner because some of them had some outside sources that they needed to find pictures of and use those pictures, so we needed to use the scanner. We also used Inspiration software, and you saw that in one of the sessions. And that is a graphic organizer. It helps the students to take a lot of information and to organize it into a logical and hopefully very well organized presentation. So that was the main software that we used. As far as the other hardware, we have the Smartboard, and that's very helpful in two ways. It's helpful for me to present the material to the students, but it's also really helpful for the students to do their presentations. They're not tied to the computer. They can just touch the board to advance their slides, and it makes the flow a lot easier, I believe. The other things that we did use, we also, of course, used the internet and email. We were able to email the tourism bureaus, which was fantastic because in years past I've done something similar, and if we were lucky, it would be 2-week turnaround if you were really lucky to get things back. And we really didn't always receive information from the tourism bureaus. This time we had 100% reply, and things started coming in the next week. It was very fast and very efficient, so I was really happy to be able to do that. And then, of course, we use the ICN room, and that is a wonderful opportunity to be able to communicate with people outside of our building. The ICN room is a broadcasting facility. It is wired within the state of Iowa, and there are many other rooms throughout the state that are directly connected, and so we have to schedule it through a central office, but it allows us direct connection and direct communication via cameras and microphones. So we can be conducting a class, or in this case our presentation, and the group that is listening can ask us immediately, ask us questions, and it's very nice. This project is filled with technology. Of course, it's not the driving force. The driving force is the information, but it was our tool in order to find information and process it and present it. I think the most important component of that learning process is the active involvement. I'm a firm believer that my students need to be actively involved. One, they enjoy it much better, and by doing things, they really are able to learn more. It stays with them longer, and they just like it. There are a couple of things that I'd like to mention about the insights or the discoveries that I have found during this project. One of them is that I was very much amazed at the quality of the products that the students produced, both in the brochures and in the PowerPoint presentations. The second thing that I was really amazed at was that the students, as I mentioned earlier, came in on their own time because they really believed in this project. They wanted to do a good job. I'm currently doing some action research on whether or not the technology helps the students to remain engaged in their projects and to work collaboratively. I would have to say that in this particular project, it definitely did.